Welcome, Falcon fans, to this week's interview with the head coach of your Lake Dallas Falcons, Mike Young. Coach, I'd like to get into it. Last week was a tough one for Lake Dallas. We lost to the Colony. It was an ugly score, 65-42. It seemed like we were kind of out of the game early. We got close. It was 21-23 in favor of the Colony a minute before the half. And then they rip off a long run. They score before the half. And after that, it seemed like your defense get tired and the wheels were shooting off. Just talk us through that game.
Yeah, they wore us out. You know, our scores were on really quick plays, a lot of 1-2 play drives. And those were nice to get the points, but it just didn't. We just don't have any depth right now, defensive line. And really offensive line, we don't have any of those guys to really take over there as well. So, you know, their offensive line is big. They have a couple guys that were 300 pounds, 280. Their average is probably about 275. Our defensive line average is somewhere around 220. It was a problem with getting enough snaps and getting them off the field. Our running game, you know, in football, your running game is going to be real proportional of what your defensive run stop is. It's they kind of go hand in hand, and right now we're not able to run the ball, which makes it very difficult for us to stop the run because we're just on the field too much. So that's one of the things we're working on this week. Kylie being out has really hurt us there, but we think we found some things this week that will help us with that. You know, people are putting a lot of people in the box. That's, you know, it's great. It's creating some long pass plays, but we got to find a way to run the ball a little bit so we can get our defense off the field, because right now we had 2 back-to-back weeks where we just got worn down in the second half.
Yeah. Hey, I want to quickly talk about last week's Player of the Week. The Falcon Award went to Ryan Depperschmidt. Your thoughts on Ryan?
He played a great game. You know, he took some hits and got beat up a little bit, but he played a good football game. You know, for a sophomore in a game like that against, you know, they're an experienced, senior-laden football team, been in the playoffs, and I thought he played a good football game against them. You know, we're going at it with now 10 sophomores. We had another one that moved up and a freshman, so I thought he did a good job of, you know, we got to take care of the ball a little bit better. The turnovers, you know, don't help either. When you're down 0-3 in the turnover ratio, it's going to be a problem as well. And we gave him 7 points too, and those kind of turnovers are really bad. But he played a good football game, and great experience for him. He's going to be out this week. He's a little banged up, but we should have him next week, full go.
Offensive Player of the Week, Chris Slater.
Chris, again, continues to make big plays, and a guy that helps us move the chains. He gets the big plays when we need him. He's been a good, consistent player all year long.
Defense, Zach Russell.
You know, Zach had a good game. One of the guys that made some tackles, got some stops, and, you know, he's a guy that gets everything he can out of his ability. He's a 165, 170-pound linebacker, and that running back was about 215. So he did a good job of playing last week, and we're proud of his effort.
Special Teamer of the Week, Marcial Apiez.
Marcial did a great job kicking the ball. He's in punting the ball. That was the one thing I thought was really good, really the last couple weeks and few weeks. You know when your special team's good is when you don't ever think about it. And we've gone 3 or 4 weeks with great kickoff coverage. Our kickoff return gets out to the 30, 35 very consistently. Our punts, he's average, you know, he gets it out there 35, close to 40 yards, and usually with very little or no return, he's putting it on the sideline. So special teams has been really solid, and that we want to keep that going because that's going to be important here later on these next 2 weeks.
JV Player of the Week, Colby Davis.
Colby's one of our young linebackers that had a really good game, and we're excited about his future. We've got some kids down there that are going to help us in the years coming, and he's definitely one of them.
Freshman of the Week, Kellen Culberson.
Kellen's a big body. That's something that we're in desperate need of, and he's one of those guys I think the future is going to be bright for him, and some of these probably going to have to help us next year because he's a big kid that can move. We're really excited about the possibilities he brings us offensive line, especially even defensive line.
Well, congrats to last week's Players of the Week. This week, the Falcons travel to Carrollton. We're going to play at Standridge again. We're going to face the Mustangs at Creekview High School. They're 1-3 in district. We're 2-2 in district. It looks to me this is a must-win game for the Falcons to keep the playoff hopes alive. Correct?
Well, it's not a absolute must. It doesn't knock us out of it. We could still lose and win next week, and then you're talking about a bunch of tiebreakers and things, but definitely this is a game we've got to win. I mean, we don't want to get into points and this and that, and if to be honest, we're not good enough to beat them right now, then we probably don't deserve to even be in that talk. So that's kind of been our talk with the kids all week, is we just need to show up and take care of our business this week.
You had mentioned during the Players of the Week, Ryan Depperschmidt will not be playing this week. Of course, we know Spencer's out. Drew Sanders, your freshman, is going to be starting at quarterback. The good thing for the Falcons is all year long he's been taking a certain amount of reps at that position. Has he had a good week of practice? How do you feel about Drew going into this game?
Well, he's been working at it all year. Now, the last few weeks, that's kind of been he hasn't done as much of it because he's been such a full-time linebacker, and with Depperschmidt being back at full-time, we've kind of lessened those reps, but he has been pretty consistent and being kind of knowledgeable of what's going on. So, but he's had a great week of practice. He's a freshman, though, and this is, 5A Texas football. It's going to be fast. There's not very many freshmen that can play quarterback at this level, but we think he's able to do that, and we're confident he's had a good week of practice. We just need everybody, when you're on your third string quarterback, no matter who the quarterback is, it's going to be tough, and everybody's got to step up their game around them to make it an easier job for them, because there's a lot of teams, they get to their third quarterback, it would be a mess. So we don't anticipate that. We think we're going to be able to move the ball and score some points, and we're excited to see him run around and play.
You're talking about people stepping up. It's going to be crucial for the defense to have a good week and keep the Mustangs, limit their yards, limit their points.
Yeah, we need to. They've struggled some offensively, so we need to. We know the main thing is turnovers. We've got to. It seems like they kind of go in streaks, and not just in streaks from game to game. Sometimes years. Sometimes you have a year where you get a whole bunch of them, and then the next year you don't get very many. And I would like to say that a lot of it is what you do. I think sometimes you can cause a lot of turnovers by playing good defense, but some of times it's just about half, especially in high school football. Really, you can think of it, almost a third of the turnovers you get are from mistakes offensively, not just you knocking the ball loose. It's bad snaps, bad exchange, bad throws. So we haven't really had a lot of those. So we need to get some turnovers in this game, and that's the best thing to help a young quarterback and an offense with a lot of young guys playing right now is some turnover. And that's going to help greatly our defensive line, too, kind of help them get off the field by getting those turnovers as well.
Well, Coach, every week we come in here and talk about your team. We talk about try to have a little fun with it sometimes. I thought that Nick Frederickson came in and did the interview last week. He did a good job asking you some kind of funny questions about your coaching staff. But you and I have been talking about this, and right now I'd like to take some time and give you the opportunity to talk about your staff, the guys that we don't talk about. Very few fans may know their names or whatever, but I'd just like to go down through your staff, and I'd like for you to talk about, how long they've been with you, where did you get to know them, what do they mean to your team, and really just kind of pinpoint and highlight some of your coaching staff. I'm going to start off with Coach Scott Sander. He is the Director of Football Operations here. He's also an offensive line coach. I know he wears a lot of hats. I know I deal with him personally through the week for information, but talk about what Coach Sander means to this team.
Well, Scott's been here a long time, and he's, not only a good offensive line coach, and I've enjoyed me and him have kind of taken over that duty. I've kind of got more involved in the offensive line again, and it's nice to work with him. But he's so helpful. Just there is so much different things. It's hard to even fathom. It's not just watching film here all day long. We show up at a game and go play. There's between the things go on in our booster club and with Little League football, with the different things that go on in our stadiums. He helps with a lot of that different stuff. He's really organized. He gets things done, and he's invaluable to have here on my side.
I want to move to your offensive coordinator, Jeremy Mails, also your quarterback coach.
Well, Jeremy's been here the whole time as well that I've been head coach. He's probably really, you could say, the first guy that I hired. When I got the job, the staff that was here before was trying to get him away, and he's really the first guy that I hired, that I offered him the job. He was young when he started, but obviously it's worked out. We've been in really, you could argue that there's not a whole lot of people that have been better than us offensively for an 11-year period and been able to put out quality quarterbacks. And you look at what's even happening now. We're going to be playing a third quarterback tonight. We've had multiple injuries at running back and quarterback, and still against the Colony, a good football team the other night, scored 42 points. So we've always been good offensively, and he's been part of that, and his development of quarterbacks, I think, in this area is really second to none.
Great. Hey, another guy that's been with you a long time. He's your defensive back coach and co-defensive coordinator, Daryl Dennis.
Yeah, Daryl's probably the second guy that I hired. He went to Gainesville High School, where I'm from. I've known him a long time, and he's somebody that I wanted here on my staff. He's a great guy, just like all these other guys. He's a great role model, great example to our kids on being a father and a husband. He's a good coach and a good guy, and the kids really respect him. And he's a good hard worker.
And sticking with the program, somebody's been around for a while. Ronnie Smith, he coaches your wide receivers, kickers, and punters.
Yeah, Ronnie's been, again, from the beginning, invaluable special teams wise. He's been really involved in the development of Marcial. You see now the people that are seeing things that goes on. That's his thing is the kicker, and I think we have a really good one of the better ones around, not just in kicking and kickoffs and PATs, but punter. I mean, he's a versatile, invaluable guy, and Ronnie's good at that special teams and coaching those guys, and really important part of the game.
So we're going to get to your defensive coordinator, your co-defensive coordinator. They call him Young, and that means they call you Old Young. Is that correct? But Jason Young.
Jason has been here now 5 years. He came from a staff down in Houston that I knew from those guys real well. He's just a really good football coach. He spent a lot of time in college ranks after he got done with college, helping not only with defense, but also he is really invaluable in the weight room. He's in charge of our weightlifting, and I think a lot of people in the coaching area around here that know us and know what our kids are like as they come up for middle school. I think one thing that a lot of area coaches will tell us and brag about us about is they think, a lot of them think we get a lot out of our kids and developing them from middle school up to high school, and a big part of that is Jason and what he does in the weight room.
Great. I believe we have a homegrown guy, a Lake Dallas guy, your defensive line coach, Nathan Davis.
Yeah, Nathan is he's a Lake Dallas grad, hard worker. He's coached multiple positions. He's a good soccer coach as well. He's our assistant boys soccer coach, and he's a good guy, another guy that's been here with us from the very beginning.
You mentioned this guy last week when Nick asked you about the most humble coach. You didn't hesitate. Your running back coach, Michael Cowart.
Well, Michael's a nice young man. He has a hard time talking in this office with as many people that talk, but he has a good sense of humor. He takes it. He knows he's going to get a lot of it dealt on him right now. He's a good guy, a good baseball coach. Like all these other guys, they have to do other things. And, he teaches class. He's a really good teacher in the classroom and good on his second sport. And he's like what you have to be as a coach, is a grinder, and he's definitely one.
Well, we're going to move to a guy who I think does like to talk and tell stories. That's your linebacker coach, Bill Cosper.
Yeah, Bill's been – I've known Bill since I was at Newman Smith coaching. He played in the NFL for a while. He's been a head coach for 5 or 6 years up in Utah when his son went up there to Weber State to play football in college. Vast experience at all different positions, real knowledgeable, good to have around because he's another guy to get advice from, not just in different positions, but in, big decisions we can make with personnel and different things. And like I said, he's a talker. If I've been here for more than 5 minutes, I haven't heard Bill talk, I step out there to make sure he's all right.
Let's hear about your defensive line coach, Cord Smith.
Cord has been here, I think, 3 years now. We got to know him. He got hired as the interim coach at Brewer the last year that we were in that district, and I got to know him then. Of course, the following year they hired in a new staff. He was looking for a job, and he's been a good hire. He's a good guy with the defensive line. He really works them hard. He takes guys and gets the most out of them. You see guys like Shantz and Machuca and these guys that are 175, 185, 190-pound defensive ends going against 280, 290-pound tackles and making plays and getting sacks, and he just gets his kids to play hard and make plays.
I've never watched the Falcons practice, really, but is it safe to say that Cord Smith is a high-energy coach?
Oh, yeah, and it's, and all these guys are that. I think that's probably one of the most underrated things of coaching. That's the good thing about all these guys, even the guys that have been around and older guys. It's about bringing it at practice every day. If we all walk out there with our heads down and beaten from the beginning of practice, it's not going to be any good. So he's definitely one of those, and we have a lot of those on our staff, and that's been something that's been positive. Even after the last couple of weeks, it's it sometimes can be hard to come to practice. And these guys have brought it each day, and I think it carries over to the kids.
Well, the last three we're going to talk about are all new to your staff this year, I believe. Defensive back coach Chris Hayes.
You know, Chris was a hire that was made late in the summer, and we've really been excited about him. He's a former player at TCU, was a outside linebacker, defensive end. He's a high energy guy too. He's been great in the classroom. First year guys, you know, these young guys even have a hard time. It's a grind. You know, he has to be here early in the morning for practice. He has class all day. Then we come back for practice in the evening. We have duties around here after that. Then, you know, we have games on Thursday nights, middle school Monday and Tuesday. So he's learning. It's a lot of work, but he's a great young guy to have around, and he's got a bright future in front of him.
Another new coach, your wide receiver coach, Mitch Sanders.
Mitch, I found a resume this summer, really not knowing anything about his son or family. I was looking for a guy because we had a middle school opening, and I saw that he had some head coaching experience. He was from Oregon. He was wanting to come this way. He has some family in the area. But after bringing him in, me and Coach Males and talking to him, we really wanted him up here. He was a coach of the year in Oregon. He was on a state championship team 2 years ago. So he brings a lot of experience. He's a really knowledgeable guy, not just offense and defense, but also in the weight room, and he's been a great addition to our staff.
And finally, the new Lake Dallas High School baseball coach. He's also your linebacker coach, Ryan Howard.
Oh, Ryan has been great. Ryan was a baseball player at Newman Smith when me and Bill coached there. So I knew Ryan when he was in high school. His dad was the head baseball coach at Newman Smith. He's been great to have around. He's helping us a lot in football. He comes to practice, all the games. He's been a really good addition to our staff, and I think he's going to be really good for our school.
That's awesome. You know, I think you're probably pretty glad we did this to give some of your coaches a little bit more of the credit, or at least let Falcon fans know who they are and what they do for you. You got a great staff. We certainly love watching the Falcons. And, Coach, we appreciate the time today. Have a great game against Creekview.
All right. Thank you.